What up, what up, what up, what up, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. I am your host, AC the Engineer, and we are episode 184. Yes, 184. Hopefully, everybody had a good day today. It is Wednesday, May 6th, 2026, year of our Lord, and it's time to get to the greatest afternoon show in the world. You ain't got to believe it, but I believe it. That's all that matters, y'all. But remember, this is a show where we meet Monday through Friday, talk about 4 or 5 topics, and just go over things that we need to review together. Now, if you ever disagree with anything I say, please leave a comment, leave a discussion, send me an email, whatever you want to do. Let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion. I'm never going to say I'm always right. I'm never going to say I know everything, but I'm willing to talk about it. That's what's wrong with the world today. And like always, the best way to show your support is all you got to do is just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos. Because this channel's moving up. It ain't moving up right now, but it's moving. Hey. But you know how I like to do. Let's jump right into it. The first topic we're discussing today is we got to go over to a cruise ship outbreak where at least 3 people have been killed and they have been on quarantine on the ship for days. They are just now starting to talk about how to get them back and unload them. But let's get over into it and see if we can find out about exactly what this virus is and exactly how deadly it is. But let's get over into it and see what we can find out, y'all.
The Dutch cruise ship with nearly 150 people on board, including 17 Americans, is waiting for help just off the coast of Africa right now. This after a suspected Hantavirus outbreak out there killed 3 passengers. At least 3 other people are sick. CBS News foreign correspondent Remy Inocencio has much more.
Yes, rodents are known to be the main vector for hantavirus, and we don't even have to touch them to get sick. We could just get sick by breathing in the air that's around their droppings or from their saliva or their urine, which then causes first fever, coughing, flu-like symptoms, and then if it gets worse, then that could lead to failure of the heart, the lungs, and the kidneys. There is one, I guess if you could say, silver lining to this, is that there is one strain that's not known to be able to spread from person to person, and this is the one we understand that killed the wife of actor Gene Hackman early last year. But there is a second strain called the Andes virus, and this is important because this is found in South America, and this one can spread between people, and that's why everyone is watching what's happening, because that cruise ship, the MV Hondius, came from Argentina. This was about 3 weeks ago. It's now anchored off the coast of Cape Verde as this investigation carries on. As for treatment, though, this is not treatable. Doctors treat the symptoms, but there is no cure, and experts say that depending on your situation, depending on what strain you get, 1 in every 3 people or 1 in every 2 people do die from this.
Whoa. 1 in 3 or 1 in 2. So the main things we're taking away from this is that it happens from rat droppings or any kind of vermin droppings. They specifically said rats, but feces, any pee, anything like that. And it's airborne. But then depending on the strain, it can spread from people to people, person to person. And then cruise ships are already close knit. So if one person gets sick, most likely more people will get sick. Wow.
For what the World Health Organization is saying. Right now, they're saying do not panic, that the risk to the public remains low as it stands, and that there's no need for travel restrictions right now. This is coming from the regional director of Europe for the World Health Organization here. He also said that the WHO is working with countries for more investigations. And then as for trying to avoid hantavirus ourselves, experts are telling people that the first thing to do, obviously, get rid of any rodents if you see them. Also, if you see rodent droppings, do not sweep them up or don't vacuum them, because then that could all go into the air. Back to you.
Absolutely wild. Let's get over into this.
Tonight, an urgent medical evacuation to take place at any moment. 3 people suspected to have the high-risk hantavirus on a cruise ship now off the coast of Cape Verde in the Atlantic Ocean, expected to be transported to the Netherlands using 2 air ambulance planes, according to the Cape Verde Ministry of Health and the ship's operator. Already, 3 people who were aboard the ship have died. This as new video shows health workers in protective gear and supplies being delivered to the roughly 150 people on board, including 17 Americans.
I will also show you what my room is like.
Jake Rosmarin is a passenger on the ship and in a new statement said that safety measures are in place, including social distancing and masking. After the medical evacuation, Spain now says the rest of the people aboard the ship will be allowed to disembark at the Canary Islands, where the ship is expected to arrive in the next several days. There, they will be examined and sent to their home countries.
It's very possible that you can be infected and not have any symptoms for weeks.
Immunologist Stephen Bradfew underscores the severity of the virus.
If you get sick with the cardiopulmonary hantavirus, on average, there is a 35% death rate.
And that 35% is high when you compare it to other viruses.
That's right. Influenza is far lower. COVID's around 1% to 2%.
The World Health Organization says at least some of the passengers may have contracted the virus through human-to-human contact.
Camila Bernal joins us now. And Camila, Spain setting some serious guidelines for the passengers still on that ship once they dock.
Yeah, Tom, Spain says that medical examinations and the movement of the passengers will be in special places and with transportation specifically equipped for this situation, avoiding all contact with the local population. The port at the Canary Islands has not yet been determined, but the ship is expected to arrive in a matter of 3 or 4 days. Tom?
We thank you for...
Wow. How would you react? And the real question is, they said that it can take, that you can not even know you have the virus and possibly still spreading it out. Now let's get over into this next video where we hear about how the officials react to this whole situation.
Okay, we have an update about the deadly hantavirus outbreak. The World Health Organization says 3 people with possible symptoms of the disease were removed from the cruise ship where the virus outbreak started, and they're now on their way to the Netherlands for treatment. Now, there's also been some confusion about how passengers on the ship were handled. There was a request for the vessel to dock in Spain's Canary Islands for a full investigation, but the leader of the islands rejected the plan, demanding a meeting with Spain's Prime Minister. Let's bring in CBS News correspondent Tom Hansen. Hey, Tom, so what's going on with the ship at this hour and with the rest of the passengers and the crew?
Hey there, Mugo. Well, yeah, this is subject to much debate between the government of Spain and the leadership in the Canary Islands. What we do know now is just moments ago, the ship actually did begin to move off the coast of Cape Verde. So it is headed in the general direction of the Canary Islands. We're told Tenerife is the target there, but understandably, a lot of people on the ground there very concerned about any potential for transmission to the population there. Now, health experts have assured the public that they are going to keep the people who are on the ship once they disembark separated from the general public. They are going to undergo a medical evaluation to see if they are presenting any sorts of symptoms. We're told by the WHO, by the way, that because of the long incubation period of the hantavirus, which can stretch up to 8 weeks for people to actually show symptoms, that if people are unwell when they get off the boat, they will be quarantined for up to 2 months. So for those people who are breathing a sigh of relief on that ship, they're not quite out of the woods just yet. But, you know, we are also monitoring a number of other things. The WHO came out yesterday and said that they were urging people who were on a specific flight that was along the ship route, St. Helena to Johannesburg, to monitor themselves for any sort of illness or any sort of condition that could be attached to the hantavirus. So there is a flight that is being monitored as well by the WHO, in addition to the contact tracing that is already being done in Africa and in Europe. WHO certainly has its hands full with this one, but they urge the public not to be overly concerned about this. And this is something that can't be overstated, Mugo. This is a difficult disease to spread. This is not a pandemic-causing disease, as our Dr. Celine Gounder put it yesterday. That's because typically this disease is spread through close exposure to DNA matter from rats. We're talking urine, we're talking fecal matter, we're talking saliva, and the dust particles that can kick up from from that kind of DNA. There are very few strains that transmit from person to person. Unfortunately, that is the strain that they have concluded, the Andes strain, which can transmit from person to person. But they want to urge the public not to be overly concerned with this, because even with that strain that transmits from person to person, it has to be with prolonged exposure to someone.
Just like on a cruise ship, they said 2 months, 8 weeks that somebody has to wait before they can truly go back home.
One who is carrying the virus. So that's very close contact for a long period of time with someone who is infected. Generally speaking, that is not a huge concern for another global pandemic like we saw with COVID-19, Mugo.
Yeah, very important to distinguish that with COVID. Tom, we're also hearing about a new hantavirus case in Switzerland. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to pull up a statement from the Swiss Office of Public Health. One person with a hantavirus infection is currently being treated at the University Hospital Zurich. The patient is male and returned to Switzerland after traveling on that cruise ship. So this person was clearly evacuated from the cruise ship, but this is a case that is still tied to that suspected outbreak of the hantavirus on that cruise ship. This is not a new case that has popped up in Switzerland, separate from the incident that we've been covering over the last week, Mugo.
Yeah, also important to point that out as well. Let people know no reason to freak out just yet. Tom Hansen, thank you so much for your reporting.
No reason to freak out right now. I mean, they have to try to soothe the public, because another virus, no one wants that. A high outbreaking, spreading virus, no one wants that. Now let's go over into the AI breakdown just so we can see a little bit more information about this whole virus and what exactly the symptoms are. That's what I really want to know about. So as we know, an outbreak happened. Let me zoom in because you can't see it if I don't. So we know an outbreak has been reported on Honduras, a polar cruise ship operated in the ocean-wide expedition. As of May 6, health officials have confirmed that the outbreak involves the rare Andes strain, which is notable for its ability to spread from human to human contact. So 3 people have died, including a Dutch couple and a German national. There are currently 7 cases, 2 laboratory confirmed, and 5 suspected. 1 patient, a British man, remains in intensive care in South Africa. The vessel is currently off the coast of Cape Verde. Local authorities initially barred passengers from disembarking, but the ship is expected to travel to the Canary Islands next. Approximately 150 people from the 23 countries remain on board under strict isolation and hygiene procedures, with many confined to their cabins. So key medical findings. The World's Health Organization and the South African health officials confirmed that the presence of the Andes virus. While usually, so it says human-to-human symptoms. So patients reported fever, gastrointestinal issues, rapid progression of pneumonia, or acute respiratory distress syndrome. Experts suggest that the initial patient was affected off the boat before boarding in Argentina on April 1st. Medical teams from the Netherlands have dispatched to the vessel to provide care and screening. Evacuations have already taken place for 3 individuals, 2 with acute symptoms and 1 close contact of a deceased passenger who was flown to the Netherlands for specialized treatment on May 6th. Despite the severity of the outbreak, the WHO assessed that the global public health risk is low. Wow. So main thing about the symptoms is it comes with fever, gastrointestinal issues, rapid progression of pneumonia, and acute respiratory distress syndrome. 2 months. They have to wait. Some of those people have to wait 2 months after getting off the ship, or after they get off the ship, or I'm assuming the first, when it was first discovered, they have to wait before they can go back home. Wow. Absolutely crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts. Did you know about this? Did you know that this was happening? How would you feel if you were trapped on a ship or confined to a ship because someone caught a very rare, transferable, deadly disease that has a death rate between 1 in 3 and 1 in 2? Absolutely crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. We're going to pivot now into our second topic we're going to be discussing today. And we got to go over to a case of a teen girl who has been sentenced for the stabbing murder of her ex-boyfriend. The family of the victim calls her let's get over into it and see what we can find out. We got 2 videos, and then of course we'll go over to the AI breakdown just to find out a little bit more information. Let's jump into it, y'all.
It's sentenced today for a teen accused of stabbing and killing her ex-boyfriend. The victim's heartbroken family asking for justice as the defendant herself says she's sorry for what happened. Local 10's Leanne Monajon is live in Miami with the dramatic day in court. Leanne?
Nicole, the victim's family pulled no punches, telling the judge exactly how they felt about the investigation, the charges, and the sentence they'd like to see imposed in this case. The defendant herself was among several people who spoke on her behalf, but watch until the very end of this piece and you'll see exactly what she had to say for herself just moments ago.
It will always be a fact that you are a murderer. You are a demon seed that your parents brought into this world to bring suffering on everybody else. Shame on them.
Anger and grief laid bare in a Miami courtroom Tuesday as loved ones of 17-year-old Yakeem Lawler begged the judge to sentence his killer, Jahara Malik, to the max.
I'm gonna stand up and honor my son and defend my son. I just wanted to be heard, man. I don't like the way this case was handled.
We just want what my son deserves. His life matters. I do not want to leave here today, Your Honor, feeling like I lost my son all over again.
Malik, now 18 years old, was Lawler's ex-girlfriend. The incident happened back in December of 2024. She pleaded guilty in March to charges of manslaughter and carrying a concealed weapon. Her sentence is left solely up to the judge to decide. The state played surveillance videos in court showing Lawler's final moments after Malik stabbed him in the chest with a pocket knife. The sights and sounds so distressing, some left the courtroom.
He went into the third rib on the left side, approximately 1 inch in depth, and hit the heart.
The maximum sentence for Malik would be 30 years in state prison. The state told the judge they're recommending 20 years with 10 years probation. The defense says Malik is remorseful and wants her sentenced as a youthful offender to a boot camp program.
I was wrong for what I did, and every day I sit and think about the damage I caused. The family wants me in prison, but I'm in my own prison for the rest of my life. I wish I could go back and change what happened, but I can't, and that's the worst part.
Now, we talked about this case before, and remember, if you can go back and watch it, but she chalked this all up to horseplay going wrong. That's what she chalked it up to. And the defense wants her to get boot camp. Not no time. That's not time now. A boot camp, rehabilitation. Remember, juveniles, they more focused on rehabilitation than the actual punishment. But let's keep going into this.
Yeah, I didn't deserve this pain, and I wish I hadn't been the one to give it to y'all.
Malik saying there she extended an apology to the victim's friends and family. Right now, the judge is hearing final arguments from the state. Then she will hear one last argument from the defense and then make her ruling. As soon as we learn what it is, we'll bring it to you.
And that's what we're going to go over to next. Let's see what the ruling actually was.
And off the top at 7, we start with some breaking news. A teenage girl who stabbed her boyfriend to death has been sentenced to 17 years in prison. The stabbing happened back in 2024 when both she and the victim were just 17. I'm Jim Barry. CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor is your reporter in Miami. He is live in the courtroom where that sentence was handed down just minutes ago. Yvonne.
Jim, no question about the fact that it was a very emotional day. And let's keep in mind that the prosecutors, the state was asking for 20 years in prison for the defendant and 10-year probation. She actually got less. Let's take a listen to the moment when the judge actually read that sentencing.
The court will sentence you to 17 years in Florida State Prison, followed by 5 years of reporting probation. Special condition of that probation, you will have to go a mental health evaluation and abide by adjudication 5 years. Please. 5 years.
So now, 17 years in prison and 5 years of probation. Is that fair? Do you think that's fair?
Let's remember that it's Giara Malik. She actually she pleaded guilty for manslaughter on stabbing and killing her 17-year-old ex-boyfriend, Jakeem Lolar, football star player. And so today we heard the relatives of both the victim and the defendant, and the families of the defendant say that they were asking for some sort of mercy for the girl, because she had said that she had repented, whereas the families of the victim were asking for justice to prevail because of the time that they have endured without their loved one. So let's take a listen to the moment when the defendant, Jahara Malik, takes the stand, and after that, we'll hear the victim's father.
I was wrong for what I did, and every day I sit and think about the damage I caused. The family wants me in prison, but I'm in my own prison for the rest of my life.
That's how I had to identify my son, by a picture. And he died with his eyes closed and his mouth open, like he was shocked. He was in disbelief. Imagine going through that.
Tragic situation. But the question is, do you think that that was a fair sentence? Let's get over into the AI breakdown just to go a little bit more in depth into this whole case. So as we know, on May 5th, the 18-year-old Jiraiya was sentenced to 17 years in state prison, followed by 5 years of probation for this fatal stabbing of her ex-boyfriend. The stabbing occurred on December 20th, 2024 in a parking garage. Prosecutors and the victim's family stated that the couple was arguing because the boyfriend wanted to end the relationship. She initially claimed the stabbing was an accident resulting from horseplay with the knife. However, surveillance video captured his final moments, including him saying, "Don't," before being stabbed in the heart. She pleaded guilty to manslaughter and carrying a concealed weapon in March 2026 without a plea deal, leaving her sentencing to the judge's discretion. Now, I said this last time. Do you think she should have gotten manslaughter for this? Manslaughter is very weird, at least to me, because horse playing with a knife, if you attempt to stab someone, you're trying to kill them. So that sounds like murder to me. But I'm not a lawyer. I'm not the judge. I can't make the laws, but it just sounds weird to me. So as we know, she was sentenced to 17 years and 5 years probation, and she has to do a mental health evaluation after that. So she had reportedly broken. So here's some past violence. She ended up breaking his phone on at least 3 separate occasions. Evidence was introduced that she had previously threatened another ex-boyfriend, stating, "I want the blood." And then she had once before chased the boyfriend with a knife during what she also called horseplay. So she just likes to play around with knives and threaten to stab people. And then the people she likes to threaten her boyfriends. Yet we give her manslaughter. Okay. So Miami police testified that the knife pierced through his hoodie, shirt, muscles, fat, clipping a rib before entering the heart. The judge explicitly rejected the accident claim, stating the amount of force required was not an accident, and that the act was not done in an in an unsophisticated manner. The lawyer requested a youthful offender sentence, which would have sent her to rehabilitation boot camp rather than prison. The mother of the victim testified that her son had tried to break up with her just 8 days before he was killed. She referred to Malik as the victim as a demon seed and expressed that even 17-year system did not feel like full justice. Dozens of the classmates from Miami attended the hearing, many wearing shirts with his photo to honor the star athlete and honor students. Wow. Now, like I said before, is 17 years justice? We've talked about this type of stuff a lot, but if someone murders someone, should they get life in prison? A life for a life? Is that justice? Or is 17 years enough to clear say, oh yeah, she has faced justice and she got the punishment she rightfully deserves? Let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. But that case is officially over. Unless they try to refute the sentencing. But other than that, she got to spend 17 years in prison. Now we're going to pivot over into a Florida mom who might get some jail time as well. In Florida, it seems like a woman ended up running onto the football field, her kid's football field, I'm assuming. But she ran onto a kid's football field during a fight between players and started kicking kids, or kicked a kid. Now let's get over into it and see what this whole thing was about. Would you run on the field and start kicking kids? Or kick a kid? Let's jump over into it and see what we can find out, y'all. We got 2 videos to look at, and then of course we'll go over to the AI breakdown just to find out a little bit more information about it. Let's jump into it.
A fight between youth football players in Fort Myers caught on camera over the weekend. A mother with the Fort Myers Falcons can be seen kicking a 13-year-old player on the ground.
Get your stop! Don't around with me. You don't me. I'm the one who got hit.
Lee County deputies say that was Renee Lambert and arrested her for child abuse. Curtis Jones recorded the fight.
I think she was just trying to generally just hit the kid for no reason.
Other parents and players say this was not the first time it got tense. Alexander Rosario Gonzalez tells me she was also recorded in this escalated moment at a different game with the Port Charlotte Bandits a few days before.
The mom was really aggressive towards everybody, the coaching staff, the other parents, and especially the kid on the field.
The Fort Myers Falcons sent me a statement saying they are extremely disappointed and that she has been permanently banned from all of Fort Myers Falcons events. Lambert told deputies she fought back because a child hit her with a helmet, but they later found out that wasn't true.
Football is for competitive, to have fun, enjoy the time on the field, and learn more about football.
Now, are fights going to happen on the football team, especially a competitive sport between young boys? Yes. You have to go into that expecting that. And you definitely don't need parents running on the field unless your son's getting stomped out or some crazy stuff. But if a fight happens, at least this is my opinion. The coaches and everything, that's their job, is to break it up. It's things like that. The referees, whoever's the adults supervising the game. It's not for parents to jump in because the parents can do something stupid like end up kicking another kid. But let's keep going into this.
Not to, get into fights a lot.
From football to baseball, the youth teams practicing here at Brooks Community Park say the values of respect and sportsmanship are key to avoiding fights on the field.
Being a good mentor or being a good parent and setting the example that, you don't go out in a social environment because it is and act like that.
Tonight, families concerned about what happened at the field say it takes a village to build a respectful team.
We're here for the kids to learn and to grow and to have fun, that it should never turn violent.
Reporting in Fort Myers, Edward Franco.
Yeah, they are 100% right. It's never meant to turn violent. That is why we're teaching kids to understand a loss, how to respect a loss, but we have to understand the reality as well. These are growing boys who get high in the emotion, so it's possible a fight will break out. But it doesn't need the parents jumping in and hitting another kid who is hitting your son, because that just causes a world of more problems. But let's get over into this next video and see if it tells us anything different.
This is the moment a Florida youth football game devolves into chaos. Watch closely. In the middle of an altercation, this child rolls on the turf, still on the ground, as a parent appears to approach, kicking the player. Police say that woman is Renee Lambert, now charged with cruelty toward a child and resisting an officer.
So it was getting chippy for a bit. It was a chippy game.
Yes, sir. Curtis Jones says he was filming the physical game between 13 and 14-year-olds when that scuffle broke out Saturday in Fort Myers.
What made things finally boil over?
I think two players just got one at it, and players going to defend their own teammates.
According to a police report, it wasn't just players rushing in. A witness saying Lambert entered the scrum and became physical with some players.
You're detained right now.
No, I'm not.
You are.
Bye.
You are.
Then as police tried detaining Lambert...
You heard that. You heard that on the side, right? Even her own son was like, "Mom, please stop." She was not having it. She said, "No, I'm not detained."
Investigators say she became confrontational.
Listen, I'm the one who got hit.
You are being pointed out as being a suspect right now. You're detained. You're detained.
So where's number 9? Go get number 9.
A kid?
Yes.
You're an adult.
The moments captured on this body camera video released by police.
She's detained because they said you hit a kid.
And the kid hit me.
Investigators spoke with the victim, who said while he was on the ground, he was kicked by Lambert in the leg, according to the police report, which adds a sheriff's deputy took photos of the victim's legs but did not observe any injuries. Our NBC Fort Myers affiliate obtaining this video showing Lambert acting aggressively at another game days earlier. NBC News has attempted to reach Lambert, but has not heard back.
The Fort Myers Falcons youth football organization tells our affiliate that Lambert has been permanently banned from all team events. The organization writing in part, quote, "Adults are expected to lead by example and help de-escalate situations, not escalate them."
Come on now. Now you're just being an embarrassment to your own son. A whole embarrassment out there. Instead of kicking him, yes, you should have jumped. You could have jumped in to pull people off and to stop the fighting. Or you could have just let it happen and let the people who are in charge of the game do that. And then you have the nerve to say, "Go get the kid. He hit me first." You're a grown adult with children. The world's a crazy place, y'all. Let's get over into the AI breakdown just to see if it tells us any more details about this whole case. As we know, the 34-year-old Renee, some reports say 41, was arrested on May 3rd after allegedly storming the field and kicking a 13-year-old football player. The incident occurred at Brooks Park. She is facing charges of child abuse without great bodily harm and resisting an officer without violence. She told the Lee County Sheriff's Office that she was struck by a player helmet and was fighting back, but investigators claim that this was disproven by video evidence. You lie and then there's video about it. Body camera footage shows deputies confronting her as she attempted to leave the scene. She was subsequently detained and walked away in handcuffs. Embarrassment of your son. So the altercation began on an on-field brawl between youth players immediately following a play. Witnesses and authorities noted that the tension had been building up between the team throughout the game. I mean, that's what happens. A game that you want to win, people get tense and things happen. We see it all over in different sports games. So a physical confrontation broke out in the middle of the field between several 13-year-old players after a specific play ended. As the coaches and other parents rushed onto the field to break up the fight, she allegedly stormed the field and began repeatedly kicking a player which was already on the ground. She later claimed that she only intervened but was hit by a player's helmet. However, that was proven wrong. Following the incident, she was permanently banned from the Falcons events. And your son is forever embarrassed by your image. It's a crazy thing, but let me know. What would you have done? Would you have done the same thing in her situation? Kicked the kid? Or would you have done what the other parents did and just broken up the fight? But it goes to show what kind of person she is because it happened before. Or at least we could see the type of stance she takes. She immediately rushes in, doesn't care who she hits, not trying to break it up, but just trying to get her way. But let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I say. We're going to pivot over into our last topic we're going to be discussing today. And we got to go over to Alabama. Alabama, there's always some crazy things happening in Alabama. But you always have to watch out for the quiet neighbors. In this incident, we have a quiet neighbor who was arrested for a quadruple murder of a mother and her kids. Let's get over into it and see if we can find out about this whole incident and see if it tells us anything. And then, of course, we'll go over to the AI breakdown just to find out a little bit more information about the whole case. Remember, y'all, the best way to show your support is always just to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos. Let's jump over into it and see what we can find out.
An arrest has been made in last week's gruesome quadruple homicide in Wilmer. 54-year-old William Graham Oliver, seen here during his transfer to Metro Jail, is charged with 8 counts of capital murder in connection with the killing of 46-year-old Lisa Fields, 17-year-old Keziah Lucker, who was pregnant, by the way, and 12-year-old Thomas Cordell Jr. Now, the arrest comes after sheriff's deputies executed a search warrant at Oliver's home in Wilmer earlier today.
The Mobile County Sheriff's
It's at 54. Man, looks 75 to me.
Office arrested 54-year-old William Graham Oliver last Monday. The bodies of 46-year-old Lisa Fields, 17-year-old Keziah Lucker, who was pregnant, and 12-year-old Thomas Cordell Jr. were discovered in their home on Abel Moody Road. NBC 15 was there today as the murder suspect was taken in handcuffs to Metro Jail just 30 minutes ago. NBC 15's Darwin Singleton joins us now live from the sheriff's office with the very latest. And Darwin, you just spoke with the sheriff. Is he saying what led them to William Graham Oliver?
Well, he said it was just good detective work, and we're going to hear from him in just a moment about that. But when we got here today, a large group of media out, of course, us among them, to see this man being brought from the sheriff's office right here. We're going to show you video of that perp walk. And during the perp walk, reporters asked him repeatedly about the crime. And of course, he is alleged to have committed that crime. He is accused of the crime, but he was asked about how something like this could have happened. And it was a very violent crime. He kept his head down low. He never said a word to anybody, even though he was asked directly if he was responsible for these murders. He did not say anything at all, but we do know he is now facing 8 counts of capital murder. Now, there were 4 victims, 3 people and 1 unborn child that were killed in this crime spree. There's, of course, with the capital case, there's associated crimes that have to be committed with the murder to make it a capital case, and those all added up to 8 counts, according to the sheriff. We did talk to the sheriff about how this arrest came about, and he said it's just plain good detective work. Listen to it.
Bottom line is good old-fashioned police work, knocking on doors, doing a lot of interviews, collecting footage in different places, and just was able to put together a real tight timeline that pointed us to that direction. He was at the home, 7:30-ish Sunday night, the 19th, and like I said, very, very tight timeline, very solid circumstantial evidence at this point, and we feel confident that we have the right man and charged appropriately.
Now, Andrea, you were out in West Mobile, actually just west of Wilmer, West Mobile County, earlier today, and I was out there too at the scene of where some evidence was picked up by the sheriff's office. They were looking at a house in West Mobile today where he lives, along with, I'm told by a neighbor, his wife and 2 children. If this neighbor is correct, he has 2 children of his own. The neighbor very concerned about the possibility that this was their guy. says he knows him pretty well, has been living next to him for about 5 or 6 years. We're going to be talking to him tonight at 6 and 10. We'll have that interview for you. But right now, police and sheriff's deputies believe they have their man. The sheriff saying that William Oliver is now arrested, charged with 8 counts of capital murder in this very brutal case. Andrea?
And Darwin, did the sheriff touch on a motive in this case? What would have prompted this violence?
Well, we threw several things at him. I asked him if it was a drug-related offense, and he says, we are not going to release any of that information right now. That's part of the investigation. So they're being very tight-lipped about why this happened and why it had to be so brutal. I mean, no murder is good, of course, but this one was particularly bad, and it's had the whole community shocked. But he says, the neighborhood is safe tonight. They have their man.
The Mobile County Sheriff's Office searched his home in Wilmer in connection to the Quadruple murder. Now, this is exclusive video you will only see on NBC 15 News. Investigators were at this home on Albert Evans Road for at least 2 hours today. I was there on scene just before 3 o'clock. Investigators came out with 6 bags of evidence, and just a short time after that, they announced the arrest. A woman and 2 boys who had been held outside were allowed to go back into the home just before 3 o'clock. She declined to talk to us, and we're hearing late this afternoon from the Mobile County District Attorney's Office that he will not be making his initial appearance in court tomorrow, and that will likely happen on Friday.
Now, I wonder what the whole incident was about. Why did he kill them? Hopefully they get into it. Let's keep going.
Investigators were called to this mobile home around 2 in the morning and found a gruesome scene. 3 victims were found in separate rooms, their hands bound behind their backs with zip ties.
It tells me that they had a plan coming in to bring zip ties.
Mobile County Sheriff Paul Birch identified the victims as 46-year-old Lisa Ferguson, who may have also gone by Lisa Fields, 17-year-old Keziah Lucker, who was pregnant, and 12-year-old Thomas Cordell.
The 12-year-old was almost decapitated, and so it was a brutal scene.
Birch says Lisa's throat was slashed and Keziah was shot in the head. Keziah's 18-month-old daughter was also found unharmed in the home. Birch says there were no signs of forced entry and believes more than one person could be responsible.
I mean, I guess it's a little good that he didn't touch the 18-month-old baby, but he nearly decapitated the 12-year-old?
It'd be hard for one individual to control 3 people at one time. I can tell you the house was gone through and left in disarray. And so someone was searching for something.
Birch says the case was first triggered by the 18-month-old's father, who was working offshore and became alarmed when he could not reach Keziah.
When he saw her phone activated in the middle of the night, because they have that Life 360. And so we thought maybe something was wrong with the pregnancy.
The sheriff's office is working very diligently to investigate this. When a suspect is identified, we are ready to charge. There's, in the presence of a child, there's 2 or more. There are any number of ways that this could go, depending on how this investigation pans out.
The bodies of 46-year-old Lisa Fields, 17-year-old Keziah Lucker, who was pregnant, and 12-year-old Thomas Cordell Jr. were discovered inside this mobile home on Monday. Keziah's 18-month-old daughter was also inside the home but was not hurt. Lisa's husband, Nathan Fields, posted this heartbreaking message on social media, saying he is, quote, crushed, lost, and destroyed, and doesn't know how he will go on.
Sad. It's too close to home.
This neighbor, who asked not to be identified, says she's shocked but not fearful, as investigators believe this was a targeted attack. Sheriff Paul Birch says there were no signs of forced entry and the home was left in disarray, as if someone was searching for something. Birch revealed Lisa and Thomas's throats were slashed and Keziah was shot in the head.
I kind of felt heavy about it yesterday because God let me know that I'm not praying enough for my neighborhood.
Yeah, so targeted. So when they mentioned that it was not a forced entry, that just makes you think that they knew the suspect. They let him in. But I can't imagine what the father is going through. He was out on he was making money for his family out on an oil rig. And then you just find out that your family's dead. The whole people you're out there doing that for. Well, at least he has his daughter still left, I'm assuming. But he lost one child who was in her belly, and the mother of his of his child. Absolutely crazy.
And it just kind of made me sad for the children, you know.
A family member tells NBC 15 News Lisa was known for helping others, often taking in friends of her children who needed a place to stay. A GoFundMe has been created to help the oldest brother, Damien, pay for the funerals of his mother, brother, and sister. Birch vows to bring the killer or killers to justice.
The brutality of the murders has sent shockwaves far beyond the small community of Wilmer. Tonight, my conversation with someone who knows the suspect well, or so he thought. He says he lived next door to Oliver for more than 6 years.
How do you know this family?
It was a stunning development in a case that sent shockwaves through the community. 54-year-old William Oliver, a resident of rural West Mobile County, arrested near his home in Wilmer after being pulled over by deputies. At the same time, sheriff's deputies and SWAT descended upon his house, searching for evidence in a quadruple murder so savage and brutal it's almost beyond comprehension, especially for someone like Mark Coleman, who lives right next door to Oliver.
Well, the SWAT came in, guns and all of that, and the SWAT vehicle.
Yeah.
And I'm looking and I'm thinking, what did these? No way.
Yeah.
No way. And then I certainly wasn't even thinking about the murders at that point. I'm thinking something else, you know, and that was the farthest thing from my mind.
He was thinking they was getting like a drug raid, something like that.
But today, Coleman was forced to face this possibility, that his neighbor, who he described as a handyman and dedicated father of 3 boys, broke into a home, zip-tied the hands of a pregnant teen, her mother and younger brother, and then killed them all. The pregnant mom shot in the head, her mother and brother found with their throats slashed. What is it about him that surprises you that he would even be mixed up in something like this?
Because he's a quiet, unassuming man. He spends a great deal of time with his kids, has 3 boys, and him and his wife get along well, and his mother lives with him as well. And just a nice, unassuming guy.
Well, you know, unless you live with someone for a long time, you never know what they're capable of doing or what their motivations are. And, you know, it is a shocking crime for anyone, especially if it's someone you know.
Shortly after Oliver was booked into Metro Jail, Mobile County Sheriff Paul Birch offered limited details about the arrest. Yes, Oliver is the sole suspect, he said, and yes, he knew the victims. And while NBC 15 News watched as detectives removed at least 6 bags of evidence from Oliver's house this morning, Birch was hesitant to speculate what went down at the scene of the crime, which was 11 miles away from where Oliver lives.
Well, you know, there's no one alive to tell us that. So, you know, we have, you know, what we believe to be, you know, his reason for being there, and that'll be something for the district attorney's office to get into.
There was one survivor, the pregnant teen's 18-month-old daughter, far too young to speak of such a despicable crime, and thankfully so, for it would be a tale no parent would ever want their child to comprehend.
That's the only saving grace, is that she won't remember anything like this.
This one seemed to affect you personally.
Well, anytime there are children involved, it makes it a little tougher, and you know, and especially an unborn child. So yeah. But again, he will, you know, he'll face justice, but he'll ultimately face the ultimate justice on Judgment Day.
Though there were only 4 victims in this crime, including that unborn child, William Oliver faces 8 counts of capital murder because of other crimes that occurred in connection with those murders, including burglary and the death of a child less than 14 years old.
Jail records show Oliver has been booked 12 times in Mobile County Metro Jail since 1990. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison in 1991 for a stolen truck and a string of burglaries at service shops, serving just under 4 years. He later faced a DUI charge in 1996. In 2007, a woman accused him of domestic violence and filed for a protection from abuse order. Both were dismissed. 13 years later, he was charged with first-degree theft for stealing appliances from the Marigold apartment complex and served nearly a year after pleading to a lesser charge. Now, Oliver faces the most serious charges yet, 8 counts of capital murder.
So he's just basically a career thief. So they made a question saying that how could he subdue all those people? I mean, you got a gun. A lot of people do what they tell you to do, especially if they got kids. They're gonna do what you tell them to do. But the real question is, does he have accomplices? He could have done it alone, but was he working with somebody?
Do you want to go into their house in the middle of the night and do such a thing?
No comment. I'm not saying anything.
Is there anything you want to say before you get blown up? Now is your chance. William Oliver, how did you know Lisa Fields and why did you do this to her family? William Oliver, do you think that you're being wrongfully arrested right now?
54 years old now, looking 75. That's a crazy case. Let's get over into the AI breakdown just to see what else we can find out. But the father has to be going through it. So as we know, William, 54-year-old, was arrested for a quadruple murder for the family in Alabama. Neighbors described him as a quiet, unassuming man and was a nice guy who was a devoted father and handyman. He was arrested on April 28th, roughly a week after the bodies were discovered. As we know, the victims got 46, 17, 12, and then the unborn child. The victims were found in separate rooms of their home, with bound by zip ties or flex cuffs, and the 18-month-old girl was found alive and unharmed in the house. He faces 8 counts of capital murder. These include charges for killing 2 or more persons, murder during a burglary, murder of a child under 14, and murder in the presence of a child. While authorities have not officially released a motive, the victim's family alleged that Oliver, a family acquaintance, owed Lisa Fields money and may have been searching for something in the home. Wow. So we know that the victims were found after her boyfriend made a welfare call from an offshore oil rig. They were found with severe lacerations. Prosecutors stated that they were nearly decapitated. That's the 12 and the 46-year-old, the mother, by an unknown sharp object, and then he just shot the mother and the 17-year-old in the head. He was not a stranger. He visited the home almost every day and was a trusted friend of the family for years. While an official motive have not been fully confirmed, court records suggest that he entered the home with the intent to rob the family. Investigators stated that the house appeared to have been rummaged through. Oliver himself allegedly admitted to being inside the home looking for something. On May 1st, 2026, a judge denied bond, citing his criminal history dating back to 1990s and the brutal nature of the crime. Yeah, 100%. If they would have gave him bond, I would have been very disappointed. He has pleaded not guilty to all 8 capital counts. District Attorney Blackwood has confirmed that his office will seek the death penalty, stating the facts of the case cry it out. Yeah, 100%. He's scheduled to return to court on May 21st, where further evidence is expected to be presented. Yeah. Capital, give him the death penalty. That sounds like a death penalty type thing. But the real question is, was he working alone? Which most likely he was. And all this, he was a family friend, y'all. He was known to the family. Come over there every day. But he snapped one day, or was he always plotting it? And did he think he would get away with it? No matter how it is, it's a tragic situation. Got to pray for the family, the 18-month-old, and the father, who's definitely going through some craziness right now. I don't know how I would handle it. But let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy case, and we have to keep up with it. We'll see exactly what he goes through, how he's going to plead, evidence he's going to bring to say that he's not guilty of the crime, or how are they going to spin it. It's a crazy world we live in, y'all, but we have to review it together. But that is it for the show today, y'all. We talked about a lot of crazy things. So if you ever disagreed with anything I say, please leave a comment. Let's have a discussion about it. I'm never going to say I'm always right, but let's have a discussion. And remember, y'all, these videos will be broken down, so you can go back and watch the one you want, or just hit that like button. But that's it for now. I will see y'all for tomorrow's show. And we most likely will do Friday show a little later. But I'll let y'all know when we get there tomorrow. But that's it for now, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace. You already know I got to play that outro. Peace.